Hello and welcome back to the Jeepster build. As you might notice, I have the Jeepster completely assembled. I've got the radiator in, I've filled it with antifreeze. You can see I've got my battery, I've got all my wires, everything is done. The main reason I'm doing this, especially assembling the car, I got it all in primer and I need to be able to move this car. Where I currently have this stored and where I'm working on it, I need to move it. So in order to move it around, I don't want a bunch of parts in boxes. So I put everything together on the car, and then what I don't have, like glass for the windshield and some of the trim, I'll be able to wrap and store in the back. And then a few other miscellaneous stuff I can just put in boxes inside the Jeepster. So I need to be able to get this thing started and running so I'm not dragging it on and off of a trailer. And the only thing I have left is fuel. The gauges that I bought, it's all a digital system. So I have the car up on stands while I'm assembling it and after priming it and everything. I need to be able to change the gas tank sending unit. The one that I used came with the kit. The kit for the fuel system, it's a sump pump tank. It has an in-tank pump and a fuel sending unit. Well, that was all GM stuff. And the new gauge is all Ford stuff. So the ohms of that float for the sending unit for the fuel is different. And I contacted Classic Instruments to see if there's any way I can use what I have, and they said no. So I had to take the gas tank off, switch that, put the gas tank back in, and now I want to flush the whole system out. I put 6 gallons of gas in it, and the filter system is in the rear. There's no filter system up here. It's all pressurized system. So the fuel line, it's a high pressure rubber line that comes all the way to the carburetor, needs to be flushed out. So I need to cycle that pump. And putting all the fuel system together, I went ahead and put in the gas tank filler hose so I could fill it, and I put the custom cap on. And I'll show you that. That just turned out so awesome. All right, let's cycle this, and then I'll see if I can get it started. Quick walk around before I cycle that pump. You can see everything is assembled. I've got my front clip-on, bumpers, everything I can put onto the car so that I can make it easier to move it around and easier to store. I still have it up on jack stands so I can swap out that gear system that's in the side of the transmission for the speedometer. That piece is going to be digital, so the pulsing system I need to switch. You can see I put the top back in. It's just 2 bolts. It's just amazing how easy that is. I've got all the trim on. I even put on my hubcaps. I didn't do the front ones yet because those lug nuts aren't tight. I need to tighten those down. Got all the rear bumper on. And let me show you this gas tank. The gas cap. It is just so cool. You can also see I've got in my steering column, my steering wheel, the dash. That's the one thing I haven't done the body work on yet. I still have a lot of work to do on that dash. But everything else, as you can see in this primer, man, it just turned out so awesome. But yeah, check out this gas cap. That just is so cool. So what I've done is I've hooked up a jug on that hose, so when I cycle the pump, we'll be able to see that liquid going into that tank, and we'll be able to see the fuel go into that jug and see if there's any trash in it. So in order to cycle the pump, I just need to turn the key switch on. It will activate the carburetor. The carburetor will send a signal to the pump. That pump will run until the carburetor either realizes it's not getting pressure or it is getting pressure and it'll shut itself off. Well, either way, it'll shut itself off. Unless it starts and then it realizes that everything is working. So for this test, it's just going to be a quick on and off for a few seconds when I can hear it kick on. And then we'll see what ends up in the jug. Okay, it ran just for a few seconds, and I've got about that much in the jug. Probably not enough to really clean the system out, so I'll cycle it again. Okay, blew a lot of bubbles. One more time. Alright, well, I ran a few cups. Did stop bubbling. A little frothy, but not bad. Let's see what's in it. I'm surprised. It's actually quite clean. I expected to see some trash in the bottom. Looks great. I'll actually just go ahead and pour this over a filter, put it back in the tank. Alright, I've got the fuel line all hooked up now. I'm going to run it through a cycle again, let it get all pressurized, and then double check to make sure there is 0 leaks nowhere along this line once I get pressure in it. Don't want that fire hazard. Alright, I don't see any leaks. I've cycled the pump several times. Gurgling still a little bit. There's still some air in the lines. But I think it's ready to actually hit the starter and see what happens. Okay, well, that was quite a backfire. Usually when it backfires like that, it's timing. Alright, I'm going to give it one more try, but it's not sounding good. Alright, well, that's a true sign of timing. I need to go back to the drawing board, get this thing on top dead center, and double check everything. Alright, let's try that again. I did have the timing off. Now that's more like it. Yeah. Get it running for a second and then I'll time it by ear. Way too loud. Alright, well I've got something that's not happy. I can't tell if it's the power steering or the alternator.
Just so you know, you're shaking the whole house and your dog is scared to death.
I thought these mufflers were going to tame this thing down. My alternator is extremely hot. So I got a bad alternator. disappointing I got a bad alternator. I'm going to have to take care of that because it's going to be draining my battery if I don't have some way of charging it back up. But runs fantastic. I put some really good mufflers on this, I thought. The way this was built for drag racing, it's pretty radical. I may have to even change the cam because it's a pretty radical cam. But with the stick shift, as it adjusts itself with the way the carburetor is and the computer system, and it's got the oxygen sensor, and it'll start to idle down, set the timing. You should quiet it down because it's nowhere near as loud as it was when we first started it. Alright, well, I need to pull that alternator off and get a hold of the manufacturer, get that replaced. Pretty exciting. Get this actually to start up. Still just a few little things I've got to button up, and I'll set the timing. Pretty cool. Alright, well, I guess we'll call it good for this video. And I'm sorry, I won't be doing any upcoming videos on the Jeepster. I'll have to put it in storage for a while. Hopefully it'll just be for a few months, and then I can get back to work on it because I'm really excited now. I've got it all on primer. I can get it all block sanded and it's ready for paint. Once it's painted, things should go pretty quick. Alright, thanks for watching. Give me a like if you like what I'm doing. Leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks again. Goodbye for now.